Good afternoon, everybody. It's David Promoter from Quantum Listing, and welcome to our Wednesday webinar. And today our topic is a really exciting one, brand building. And we are together with the founders of the CRE Marketing Call and also now the CRE Podcast. We've got Sarah Malcolm, Linda Day Harrison, and Josh Lyons. And I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves. And it's going to be a great experience. And we'd love to get your feedback and questions during today's webinar. So put them in the chat, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. And also, Julia had sent out a one-question survey, which we'll put a link to in the chat as well, or it's a two-question survey about your own brand building efforts. And we'll review that either at the end of the webinar or if it fits in the middle somewhere. All right, so I'm going to, Sarah, you're the first picture. Will you kindly introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah Malcolm. I am the founder of Quiet Valor. We're an advertising agency focused in commercial real estate, tech, biotech, and healthcare. So super excited to be here with everyone on the call, as well as my CRE marketing founders. So, and again, I'm really excited that we've had such an amazing response for this class and excited to talk about why personal branding is important.
Excellent. Linda, you're up next.
Thank you so much, David and Julia, for having us. We are thrilled to be here. I'm proud of my colleagues, Josh and Sarah. I love meeting with them once a month on CRE marketing, and it's awesome to be able to share the CRE marketing experience on the Wednesday webinar with Quantum Listing. I am the founder of theBrokerList.com. I think many of you may be our members. If you're not, we'd love to have you. And again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to meeting all of you in the future.
Thanks, Linda. And Josh.
And I'm right there with Sarah and Linda with saying thank you for the invitation to be here. And like them, we work a good bit with commercial real estate brokers, and not just commercial real estate, but what we do is digital marketing services, helping business owners of all sizes really make the most out of their marketing budget. And with our CRE marketing call that we do once a month, obviously the focus is the commercial audience. So very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing your time and expertise with us, and let's get started. Linda, I think you've got the control if you want to hit the first plug from our good friends, the DNA of CRE survey.
Yes, I would love to give a 20-second plug. If you haven't taken the DNA of CRE survey, Julia can put a link in the chat for you. And we are so appreciative of anyone that takes the survey. Right now, we are over 600 respondents, and we're trying to get to 1,001. So we appreciate your help in sharing the survey. So thank you for that.
All right.
There are two links in the chat to take the DNA of CRE, so you can save those links and make sure to take it after the call tonight, tomorrow, whenever you can.
Now, what we normally do, and Sarah, if you want to do this or not, or kind of just talk about it, this is how we run the CRE marketing call. Sarah, do you want to talk about this slide?
Sure. So every last Tuesday of every month, we do a call called the CRE marketing call. It's completely volunteer from Josh, Linda, and I. We founded it ago, 2.5, something like that. I don't know, something like that. Anyway.
2017.
Oh, wow. Okay. Time's flying. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So the purpose of this call is really to bring the entire commercial real estate marketing community together. It's kind of a community in commercial real estate that doesn't really get to network because we're not really at the front of the deals. So we're not the face. So, we saw an opportunity that we needed to bring the community because together because they're really the ones that are, you know, putting the brands out there, and it's a small community. Sometimes there's only one person, sometimes there's nobody, sometimes it's like a random, you know, admin doing your marketing. So we wanted a place where everyone could come together, learn, network, share great information. And we have guest speakers from the latest technology to SEO to what is Clubhouse, is TikTok worth it? Lots of great topics. And again, anyone's welcome to join, whether your position is marketing or you're just interested in marketing. So, and our next call is March, end of March, right? No, February. Yeah, February.
Yeah, February 23rd is our next one. You want to touch on this slide?
Absolutely. And so, you know, we've got a lot of requests to say, can we, you know, check out some of the past CRE marketing calls, because I wasn't sure and I wasn't aware of it. So we created a podcast, so which is really exciting. So we took the last 6 months of our calls, and we are on Anchor, we're on iTunes, just search CRE marketing. We're on all the Spotify, all the major podcast streaming websites. So yeah, check us out. Oh, here's another one. Okay. Clubhouse. If you're one of the ones that were lucky enough to get invited to Clubhouse, because it's right now it's still invite only, we host a CRE happy hour every Friday at 3:30. So, and it's really a way to get to network and meet people and hear what everybody's working on for the week. It's fun. It's laid back, and it starts at 3:30. Was supposed to be 3:30 to 4:30, but on Clubhouse, people like to stay on for hours. So if it's 4:30 or even 5:30, you still have a chance of just getting started with us, because I think the last couple of ones have lasted for about 3+ hours. So it's kind of funny.
And people come and go, just like a regular happy hour.
Exactly like that, except everybody's doing a lot of coffee and water these days. So, but alcohol is completely acceptable.
Right. And if you don't have an invite,
if you guys are looking in the chat, Casey said, someone please ping me or text me so I can join this week.
Will do, Casey.
You know what, Casey? I'll see if I can add you as it's Casey, like
Flannery.
Casey. Yeah. I'll add her right now as a moderator.
And also keep in mind, if you don't have a Clubhouse invite, please let one of us know. We will get you an invite. There's so many people that have them. I have some, and we just wait for people to ask for invites and we give them out. So let us know if you need an invite as well.
You know, it's funny. On my Clubhouse, I am not able to invite anybody that's not imported into my contacts. It like limits me for some reason.
Right. I can add Casey.
No, I think
can't
Casey,
I, or only you can? I don't know.
I don't know. No, I added Casey to our happy hour. She's now a moderator, so she's good.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Anybody else want to be moderator? No, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
So
okay, I see. Oh, Eric, Eric, send whoever. I'm just looking at these. Justin, Eric, if you need invites, my email is in the chat here at the top. If you email me your information, which would include your name and your phone number, your cell number, I can invite you.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Linda, I think I have 8 invites right now that I can give people. So if you can help me figure out how to invite people that's not on my contacts, I'm happy to give them out too.
Yeah, I will. And I have 6, so we can get plenty of people in. Anyway, so we can start the branding talk.
all right.
Let's do it.
So the first thing we wanted to talk about is what is personal branding. And I know we've had some preparatory calls for this call today because we wanted to, brainstorm amongst ourselves about what would be important. So do you want to start with something, Josh, what you think personal branding is?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I've been asked that question in the past, as I think all of us have, who are panelists. And I'll tell people that personal branding is the practice of marketing yourself or your interest as how someone perceives you. And if you don't do anything specific to control the perception that people have of you, they're going to think whatever they think. I mean, you have no control over what they think. They just think, oh, he or she does X, Y, or Z. Or they might not even have any thought at all just because they don't know you. But what you want to do when it comes to personal branding is think, what do I want people to perceive me as? Then what can I do to shape that perception by what they're seeing to help with my personal branding, how I'm perceived by others. So that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's like when you think of a brand, right? You think of like Coca-Cola, you think of, you know, all those big brands, and it gets a little confusing when you're like, okay, what's a personal brand? Okay, well, there's Kim Kardashian out there. She's definitely got her own personal brand. Well, how does that relate to me in commercial real estate? You know, like I'm not, you know, taking selfies all day and, you know, in Spanx all the time on Instagram. So nice, David. Thank you. Except for David. David does selfies. But yeah, so but in commercial real estate, it's different. You know, it's the same, but it's different. You know, it's a way for people to get to know who you are as a person, and deals are definitely getting made on social media. I hear it all the time. And, you know, because we're in this online community of these influencers on social media, these commercial real estate folks that are, you know, they have these big followings, and because they build up these big followings that they're making the right connections, they've built up their brand. So it's and through constant communication and being online, they're top of mind. So when someone needs something in their specific market, they're like, okay, you know, I'm in Arizona, I'm going to go to Eddie Gonzalez, because I know he's, you know, because he's top of mind. When I think of Arizona, I think of Eddie Gonzalez. So, you know, and it's, I know it can feel overwhelming to be like, how am I going to start developing a personal brand? Again, we'll talk about that as we go, but it's just, you know, it's starting with the basics, and that's just developing some sort of persona of who you are and what you want people to say. So if you're like, okay, I'm Bob, I'm a broker, and my focus is, you know, retail, I want to make sure that when, you know, that people know, first of all, that I'm here, and that, you know, my brand is online, and that they think of me for that specific role, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what I was going to say, and as being involved with the broker list, and I see it, people struggling with it every single day, when they complete their profiles and they don't have a real clear message, and I'm talking one sentence, maybe two, about what they do, because people are looking for them. So it's a disservice to yourself not to create that top of mind message that you want people to know about you. And I struggle with it because I get calls from the public every day saying, I'm looking for a broker in this market that does this specific thing. And I literally am honest with people, and I say, you know, it's so hard to find because they're not telling us that. They're trying to say that they do everything, and that's confusing. So you don't want to say, well, I'm in commercial real estate and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I will have 1,000 questions about, okay, where in Atlanta, where exactly, what market, what property type, what size deals. There's a lot more to it. So I think in brokerage, especially, the personal branding concept is really about having your own tagline and your own message that's very consistent, because that's like the starting point. And then the rest of it just kind of flows, because then you're going to get into more of the meat of what branding is. But to me, I think that's the first step that you should take, because you need to have that top of mind message. That's
yeah, Linda, let me, yeah. Good.
Go ahead, Josh.
Let me ask you a few questions that relate to what you're just talking about. So on the broker list, there are what, about 9,000 or so brokers?
Yeah, there's over 8,000 right now, yes.
Over 8,000, okay. And I know for a fact they all get thousands and thousands and thousands of people going to just the directory pages trying to
Right.
find brokers, commercial brokers.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
what I don't know is, so tons of people looking for brokers, tons of people, brokers are members of the broker list, but just off the top of your head, and I know we didn't talk about this before, but
No.
roughly what percentage would you say of the people who fill out a profile actually specify property type or deal size or some specifics about them, just briefly, even a sentence or two?
I would say probably 10 to 20%.
10 to 20%.
Very
So
low.
exactly. So that's a lot of missed opportunity simply due to a lack of just a little bit of branding. When
Right.
someone creates a profile somewhere, create a profile. Create the profile. Say what it is that you do, what is it that you care about, because otherwise it's like going part way down a race and then just stopping. If you're going to
Right.
create it, create it. So
And Josh, that's for everywhere. Quantum listing, LinkedIn, anywhere that your profile appears, you
yes,
need to be consistent. And
yes,
very few are. And
yep,
and that's an important point. But anyway,
It's okay to just be right to the point. This is what I do. This is the market. This is, I mean, just get very specific, almost like you're talking to a fourth grader.
right.
It really
Yeah.
be just
Right.
Yeah, let me just interrupt and say that
Go ahead, David.
you have to write that in the way that people who don't know anything about real estate are going to search for it on Google, because if you start using jargon that your average person is not familiar with, but only commercial real estate professionals, you're missing a lot of opportunities, because the way people search on Google is often they're speaking into their phone. They're saying, I want to find a commercial real estate broker in Las Vegas who specializes in retail. And that's what's going to come out. And on top of those searches, somebody who's got something like what people actually search for in normal human language.
right,
Right. Exactly. It's funny, when I was in college, I remember being taught this by a professor. He said, go buy a children's book on the topic first. Don't go to the library and get the biggest book and the heaviest book. Go buy a children's book or like a grammar school level book and read about it. Then do the rest of your work, because you just want to understand the basics. And I think that's the same way with our industry. And Casey made a fabulous point in chat. She just said, my parents don't even understand what I do. Her parents are her biggest fans. We all know that. We know how parents just will brag about us, but you need to be able to look at it as, I need to be able to explain it to my parents so that they understand it as well.
Yeah, make it
So
easy.
I think,
Make it easy for people to understand.
right.
yes.
And now the next question is, why is personal branding important? I think we kind of touched on it, but do you want to elaborate more, Sarah, a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, why it's important is because if you're not online, your competitor is, and you need to make sure that you're top of mind, and that, I mean, again, it's another way to help with lead gen, closing deals, networking. I mean, building relationships. We all know this industry is, relationship driven, and in a pandemic world, especially the last year, it's been very difficult to get out and network the way that our industry is so used to doing. And I think that's why this personal branding conversation is more important than ever, because you really have no choice anymore. I mean, this group has been talking about this for 10 years plus, right? Saying, okay, you need a personal brand, you need an online brand, you need to get online, you need to be on social, you need to have a website, you should probably think about a blog, like you need to think about SEO. We've been saying it forever. And then, I really feel like it's those who were ready, they thrived, like someone like Barbie Reuter. I mean, she's like at the top of her game right now. And those who were like, wait, I don't really want to do it, I don't have the time, they got stuck at home with just whoever was in their, contacts. So,
Well, what I wanted to say, Sarah, on top of that is, I don't want to just say personal branding is for digital use only, though.
yeah,
Because to me, it's not. And I know now we're in such a bad position because of the virus that we're not meeting people. But once the world turns back on, now is your time to practice and get ready to be able to explain to people what you do and who you are easily. And I think that you can still use personal branding, this whole concept, outside of social media as well. Because when you go to conferences, maybe you could speak to people in person, go to like different public events, not now, but when the smoke clears, you still need to be able to have that message with or without social media.
Great point.
I think really, well, I don't think really, I know really, there's a really great book for any of you who like to read by Donald Miller called Building Your Story Brand. And he says in that book, talking about the messaging, well, backing up, why is personal branding important? It's important because if you don't control what your personal brand is, if you're not crafting that, then people don't know what you do. And so, and then going to the book of Building Your Story Brand, the author talks about the Caveman Test. Here's the Caveman Test. If you are on social media, someone looks at your profile, or someone goes to your website, or they go to somewhere else, or if it's in person, or whatever the case, if you are communicating in some way, and someone looks at you, wherever you are, can they go, oh, I know what they do. They sell ice cream. I like ice cream. I buy ice cream. They sell ice cream to me. Really super duper simple. If a caveman is going to get to your presence and they got to read and figure out and decipher, oh, they do specifically office space, I don't know. I thought it was just commercial real estate in general. If they have to figure it out, then you're not passing the caveman test. So make it so when you put out your message, it's super stupid simple. A caveman could understand it at a glance pretty much. And that's not going to happen unless you work it. That's why you need to work on your personal brand, to make sure it's caveman worthy.
Well, I think that answered our next slide, recognizing a personal brand. But I think it would be also interesting to show you what we mean.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to touch on this one, Sarah, why we put this slide in here?
Yeah, we put this slide together because like when we think of a personal brand, especially in commercial real estate, these are the faces that we think of, right? So we've got Alan Buchanan, we've got Eric, Barbie, Casey, and Coy. And, you know, and these folks have been around for a very long time, very active in the industry, and have done a fabulous job building their personal brand. And I would say all of them specifically building a personal brand, I feel like a huge part of that was their social presence. I think, you know, they obviously do what everybody else does, the networking and you know, meeting new people. But I think on social is they did get it in early, and they were able to establish themselves very fast. And now they all have like a legit following, and it's really impressive.
Well, I wanted to mention the way we did the mix was I call them legacy. The legacy people on here are Alan, Barbie, and Coy. Casey, for me, is newer. She's not brand new, of course, but I mean she's newer than Coy, Barbie, and Alan, as well as Eric. But to me, Eric and Casey are just like going to the top quickly because they're really, you know, just embracing it. And I think they've done it naturally. They have not planned it. I think they're just doing it. And if they're on this call, they can give us feedback. We'd love to hear from them. But I think that they're just doing what comes to them naturally, to be honest with you. All of them have. But I think that Barbie and Alan and Coy have been doing it probably for well over a decade, if I'm not mistaken.
For sure.
Casey, Casey, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Tell us, I mean, because I haven't known you for 10 years, Casey, but I don't know how long you've been building your brand.
I started my Twitter, I think, in 2017, and I really did it, excuse me, more so for a prospecting, like seeing what companies are talking about, so I can have an easy conversation with them when I give them a call. And then I just found this core group of commercial real estate professionals on there, and so it shifted a little bit from why I initially joined Twitter to finding this core group of people on there to connect with, to network with, and now we are all networking online on social media because that is the only way to network in 2020.
Do you think that if someone told you that you had to just shut down all your social media, you'd be fine with it, or what would your reaction be to that?
No, and I have been told that, and I'm still around, so you can see how well I listened to that request. But I had to keep saying that there wasn't anything wrong with it. I just don't know what the true reason was for not being online. And I love Jason Ciano. He kept also being told over and over again that there's really no point to being online. But I found you guys a huge community. I've gotten listings. People know who to reach out to when they have a requirement in Memphis. So I think and I have people come who visit in town and they're like, oh, I know you from Twitter. Oh, I know you from social media. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever met you before, but that's awesome. Like, great to meet you in person.
That's wonderful. Eric, are you around?
Yeah, I'm here. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm running around, and so I have on these AirPods. But this thing is so fluid with the social media that it's just kind of a natural thing that I think we should all do because it kind of replaces the networking that we used to do. I used to say it's shaking hands and kissing babies. I do that anymore. So I didn't have a big plan for it, but it just started to happen. And I say it's fluid because, there are days when I think LinkedIn is working really well. There are days when I think Twitter's working really well. But to Casey's point, when I think of Memphis, I think of Casey, just because of that. When I think of Las Vegas, I think of Natalie and different folks. So this is a way to keep on top of people's mind, because the one main credo that I have is when people think of commercial real estate, I want them to think of me. So I just try to use
Atlanta, right?
Yeah, yep. So that's
Excellent.
it. I appreciate you guys doing this, because one thing that falls flat for a lot of us as brokers, I'm sure, is the marketing. Unless you're at a firm where it's big back of the house, it's doing it for you.
Well, it's hard to find time. It's hard to do your job and then think about how you're going to promote yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me ask you guys a question. Say, if you're, more of a general practitioner, where, you're, not working for a big shop and you're a boutique firm, like Promoter Properties, for instance, and you are opportunistic where, when retail is great, you're doing a lot of retail deals. When retail is not so great, maybe you're focusing on office or warehouse or land. So how would you recommend that somebody in that position develop their personal brand?
I would have to say you've got to have something that's differentiating. Is there even a geography?
Sure.
That's it. Your geography, it would be solid, your geography, as a generalist. So you would be the go-to generalist in that geography.
Yeah. So I don't do commercial real estate. I mean, I'll work with clients who need help with commercial real estate marketing, but using my company as an example, we do website development, website design, search engine optimization, Google Ads, and other things. But sometimes people are more interested in websites. Sometimes they're more interested in Google ranking. Sometimes it's something else. So what we do from a content standpoint, which could be applied to a broker who has multiple property types they're interested in, is a massive amount of the marketing we do is less on the typical social media and more on the blogging. We produce tons of content and we will rotate. So we'll create a nice blog post about website design, then another one about email marketing best practices, then another one about personal branding, true story, and then different ones. And so we rotate through the different categories that we're interested in. Then when someone in the area does a Google search for digital marketing or email marketing or social media or whatever it is, what website, what company, what agency has actually produced content about that particular category? Google's looking for the best local source who's an expert in that area. Are my competitors doing it? No, not nearly as well as we are. So Google knows that we're the logical person to send someone to, or logical company. So the exact same thing applies. If you do office, you care about office and industrial and retail, and that's it. Rotate your content that you're creating across those categories so it can clearly be seen by whoever is looking. And even if you're getting more of one type of deal at a particular time, you already have fantastic content established, created, and in existence that can be found for whoever's looking for it at that time.
And David, that's awesome, Josh. And David, to piggyback off what Josh said is, you know, if it's just you or you're a small kind of shop and you're, you know, trying to figure out how to stand out, you know, in a world where people have a lot of resources, I think the one thing you want to do is just pick like 1 or 2 social networks. I mean, I know, you know, this isn't just about social, but that's the fastest, easiest way to be seen. And, you know, so if you're comfortable on LinkedIn, stick to LinkedIn. If you're comfortable on Instagram, there's an audience on Instagram. You don't have to be on all of them. Is it great to be on all of them? Of course it is. But I'm assuming everybody on this call is making money and they don't have time to be on everything, doing everything all the time. So, I mean, when we talk to our clients, the reason why they hire us to do everything for them in marketing is because they don't have time. But, you know, you don't have a budget to hire, you know, someone like Josh or myself. You know, you want to think about like, what's your purpose? Like, why are you even on social media? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve, right? Is it lead generation? Is it relationships? Is it traffic to your website? That way you can go ahead and capture those leads. Like, what's the purpose of social media? Or why you're even on it? Because I think a lot of times we join and then we're like, cool, now what? What do we do now, right? We don't really know what to do. And then I think after you define like your goals and objectives, I think defining who you're talking to. So if you're, you know, looking to connect with investors, if you're looking to connect with REITs, if you're looking to connect with head of acquisitions, if you're, I mean, whoever that person is, define who that person is. You don't want to be like, I want to talk to everybody in commercial real estate, because that's just, you're going to fall flat on your face if that's your objective, if you know that's what you're trying to do. And then you want to think about like, what do you want those people to, if they say, okay, you know, I'm Sarah, right? And what do I want people to think about when they hear Sarah Malcolm? Okay, well, I want people to know that I do marketing and, you know, we develop websites and we, you know, do social media and we do storytelling and we do logos and branding and, you know, that's what I want people to think of me. So what do you want people to think of you, right? And we talked about those specifics. And then once you kind of have that laid out, you say, okay, well, I'm going to be on LinkedIn. I want to focus on these people. This is, you know, what they're interested in. I'm going to go ahead and commit, because you have to have a plan, to posting 2 times a week on LinkedIn just to start out, and say, I'm going to talk about why it's important to invest in the Atlanta market right now. Okay, or why it's important, or best practices for finding the best space for your business. Like, figure out what that person who you're targeting wants to hear and what they want to learn about, and how can you solve that problem for them. And then that positions you as a thought leader and then helps them find you, right?
Yeah.
My 2 cents.
Thanks.
That was a good question, David, because I think a lot of people struggle with it. They can be everything. And I've worked with a lot of brokers over the years who I say are generalists, which means they can do industrial, they can do multifamily, they can do office, which is wonderful. But when you're marketing yourself and just saying commercial real estate and you're not saying a specific place, it's confusing for people because it's market driven. So I would just narrow it down. If you have to use zip codes in your marketing, if you have to use a map, like a physical graphic, maybe on your Twitter header, you know, like a little map or something that kind of highlights, this is where I work. Anything you can do to drill down what is your message. You know, if it's geography, then I would just drill down every visual for that geographic area. And I would use zip codes or counties or whatever the geography is.
Hey, Linda, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Piggyback off of that. So for
Yeah.
someone like David, who's been in the industry for over 30 years, would you recommend that being part of his tagline? Because, you know, people see him as a connector of he's done this many deals. So even if he doesn't have the right means to do that deal, he might know someone else that he can then connect you to and get the right person in front of you.
Of course, absolutely. But I still go back to, you're trying to find the client, the customers that are looking for you. So that would be a good message in a B2B environment, because that's like a referral. But to a customer, they have a problem. They need it solved. And if their problem is a geographic, you know, item, which it normally is in our industry, you know, I need this in this place. You've got to push that message about the geography, and I see so many people don't. They're not specific enough.
One of the things that I've done on my website in the past to help solve this problem is, you know, do case studies. So after I've done a particular, you know, deal and there were some thorny issues with it, you know, I'll write something about that. Is that something that Josh and Sarah, that you've done with your clients before?
Absolutely. We study
Absolutely.
all the time. It's
Yeah.
a great way for us to kind of show, you know, our return on investment. And then also in the marketing world, a lot of these people are trying to prove their worth in their organizations, because marketing for some reason is not appreciated the way it should be for the most part. In commercial real estate, I don't know why, but it's a great way to kind of, you know, say, okay, this was the problem, this is what we came up with, this is how we solved it, these are the results. So absolutely.
When you're messaging to someone and you're shaping, well, your message, what you want to do is when someone comes across your site, especially, the first thing you want to make them do is shake their head up and down in a yes. And you get 5 seconds to capture them. If you don't have them saying, yes, this is a place for me, I need to be on this website, or looking at this person's profile, if you don't get them in 5 seconds, you've lost them. They're going to your competitor. And what you want to do to get them to shake their head up and down is to say something along the lines of, are you looking for commercial property in Pensacola, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, New York, New York? Instantly they go, uh-huh, yeah, yep, that's me. Then immediately after that, what you want to do is say, you want to point out their problem. They're there because there's some problem, because they can't find the right space, because they don't know how to find what they're looking for. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what that is. So you express their problem, and they say, this is still me. This is exactly my problem. This guy knows, or whoever knows exactly me. And then right after that, what happens is, to what you were just saying about case studies, it's the credibility. They say, okay, now that we've identified you're in the right place and this is your problem, guess what? So-and-so can help you. How can they help you? Well, look, he helped so-and-so with this case study example. He helped so-and-so with that case study example. And now they're still shaking their head up and down. They're saying, man, this person, they actually have the credibility here. And then you continue driving their mind through the process to ultimately contact you. So yes, what you described, David, just a moment ago is exactly what you want to do as part of your storytelling to get them to contact you, to work with you.
Thanks.
I have a question for everybody. So I just wanted to first share the fact that the results of the survey, so the question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how developed is your personal brand? And the average for this group of people was 5.9, which is pretty good. But what I'm wondering is there anybody on the call right now who wants to, like David just did, volunteer to have a personal brand makeover over the course of the next couple of minutes? And I believe the next few slides kind of walk us through where to start. So if anyone wants to be brave and volunteer, we welcome you right now.
Danielle volunteers.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, Danielle.
Okay, what do you want? So the first question we have is, what do you want your personal brand to be?
You have to unmute yourself, Danielle. There we go.
Sorry, I thought I did that. I want my personal brand to be about two things. One, I want to say what I do in the industry. And secondly, I'd like to be able to focus more about me going into this year. And I also want to focus on, of course, the development side and things that Deal Point Merrill does. And if you look at my profiles, have I met those standards of letting people know both what I do and then I also work for Deal Point Merrill and what they do.
So what would you say it is that you do? What is the what I do? What is that?
I'm in communications. I handle everything communications, video, social media, everything for development, multifamily,
So,
video production. I do quite a bit of things. Yeah.
so when somebody hears your name, they instantly think communications, specifically with an emphasis on video. Would that be an accurate brand?
Well, not so much video, not yet. Social media marketing for Deal Point
So,
Merrill.
Well, when
so
I
someone
go to
hears,
your Twitter, go ahead, John.
so someone hears your name and they say, ah, she's a social media person. Man, she's got it down. That's what you want them to say?
Yes, that as well, sure.
Yeah.
But if
And
you're
We
a
want to boil it down
developer,
to something.
I'm
Boil it
sorry?
down to a core. We want to boil it down to what is the core thing, not a bunch of little things.
You had to be an expert in something.
Oh gosh.
Well, and also,
I don't have time to
Danielle,
be an expert.
also you've mixed, you're mixing it. In other words, you're Danielle Haney and
That's
Deal
right.
Point Merrill is Deal Point Merrill. So
That's right.
if you only want Danielle Haney to be you, then maybe you need to like, kind of make it more about you first instead of saying, commercial real estate Deal Point Merrill. I think that's the same what brokers go through. They always say, oh, SVN or CBRE or NAI or whatever, but really it's about them.
Yeah.
So would you say take off the Deal Point Merrill off of my own profile then? But my website is still Deal Point Merrill.
I
Well,
think you would
okay,
have two brands,
yeah, because
company brand, personal brand.
Yeah, that's hard for me to separate right now. Yeah, I will have a personal brand next year, but not right now. Just
but
put it
right
that
now,
way.
right now you're a hybrid.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends on what your goal is. I mean, if you want to say promote the fact that you're the Deal Point Merrill communications person, that's I think what you're doing right now.
Yeah, that's the question is what's your goal? Like what's your goal?
Right.
I want to be able to communicate with everybody that's in commercial real estate, developers, real estate agents, brokers. I also email market to them and focus on our development team. That's what I do now.
Okay.
I
And then
know.
yeah.
It's a hard one for me.
Sounds like it's communications, regardless of whether it's you or the company. Either way, communication is
Expert. I mean, that's what you are. Yeah. And then I think on top of that you're a great person. You have a lot of amazing qualities outside of work, and I think that's just as important to share in your personal brand as that you're an expert at communications, because anybody can be an expert, but not everybody is awesome to work with, and people want an expert and they want somebody awesome to work with. So I think you have to balance those two things when you're thinking about what you want people to think about you, that like, wow, she's like a really good person. She really is not, after, whatever that, a paycheck, or she's a salesperson or whatever that is, but she really cares about, what I'm trying to do. And I can really see that she's an expert, and, she's a great person to work with. So
So you would suggest I actually put more of a personal touch to my, say, Twitter, and if you go to my LinkedIn, I basically have on that I think it still says Deal Point Merrill, but it also says business. It's all about the connection. Let's make 2021 a good fit. That was my little headline this year. But it still says the same thing. It says that I work with self-storage and development, but then I say I connect people, growing our brand, always listening and learning. So I kind of made that one a little bit more of a personal touch. You think
Yeah.
I should do that with Twitter as well?
Only thing is, like, if I was coming to if that page, I still don't understand what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until you read my profile, right?
Until you, right, but most people just want to, like, you don't want to make people work. You just want to be like, this is what I can do for you.
Right.
This is my focus. You know,
How do you,
like when you go out there, like, you know, I want to learn. I want to like that's great, and so that's a great, have that below, like, but want to, like, say, this is what I can do for you. Like, this is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Josh.
How do you sum it up so that the caveman in 5 seconds can grunt, I know what she does?
Yeah, that's it's really hard writing your own profile. Yeah. It really is. I mean, I think it's better to have someone write it for you. I do believe that, you know, it's very hard unless you're like, I understand you, Sarah, and you, Josh. I mean, you guys are doing things for other people. I'm doing things for the company, but I also want my own profile as well. So it's a hard one. Really is.
So we have a good transitionary question to this topic, which is that Nina wrote, I am a tenant rep and choose to highlight my personal brand, not the brokerage I'm with. Is that okay? So thank you, Nina, for that question. It's very applicable right now.
Yes, I just taught a class about this yesterday to the Revney folks and to a bunch of Resi brokers. And yes, absolutely, because you don't know what brokerage you're going to be with at any time. And people want to work with you. I mean, people follow you around from company to company to company. So absolutely, you should focus on yourself, like 1,000%. And your focus should be, if you're, you know, developing your personal brand, is sending everybody to your personal website. That is the most important. And that's the biggest mistake that everybody makes, especially in our industry, is we're like, follow me on Twitter, follow me on, you know, Clubhouse, connect with me on LinkedIn. And then the communication stays there, right? And the whole point why you're doing this is to generate leads. The problem with all of these networks is eventually you're going to have to pay to play. That's what happened with Facebook. We spent years and years and years. All of us who have been in the industry for a long time and been on social for a long time know this. We learned the hard way is we build up these huge followings for companies and brands on social media, and then specifically on Facebook. And then Facebook said, okay, now that you've built up this audience, thank you. We appreciate you helping us, you know, build this social network. But now you're going to have to pay us to reach the people that decided to follow you, and which completely is just, it sucks completely. And so that's why it's important to not put all of your, you know, communication, all of your efforts into social media, because you don't own those sites. You have no control over it. Anything can happen. They can decide to turn this off, and, you know, they can decide to make sure that your followers don't see your content unless you're paying for it. I mean, at any time, at any moment, and it's been done. So what you have to do is make sure that you're using these sites to drive traffic to your website, where then you capture that information, you capture their email, and then you can nurture that relationship and nurture that lead over a long period of time. So.
Great question, Nina. You guys, we don't have a lot of time left, and we have a lot of slides, so let's see if we could get through them. Is that okay, Julia and David? Okay, so the next slide we had is, where do we start? I think Sarah just answered the question, but you can elaborate, Josh and Sarah. I think every single broker should have at least a landing page that's their name. I won't say any more. That's my biggest thing.
Yes. Yeah. And I agree. Again, we just did a website for somebody, and, you know, that was key. But some people are like, I just want a website, and, like, you need lead generation. Like, you have to be able to capture those people, and then you have to have content, you have to have a reason for them to come back. And so, yes, absolutely. Number one priority.
Yeah, the
Josh?
website is essentially your marketing hub. That's where the meat of everything is. And most marketing channels are fleeting. You do social media, maybe, maybe not. You do Google Ads for sure. A lot of different types of marketing where you spend money, you do it, it's gone. You stop, it's gone. SEO is the one that lasts. I call it equity in your marketing. The more you put into your SEO, which means ranking on Google, making it so you rank well on Google without having to pay for it. The more you put into that, if you ever stop, for the most part, you continue to cruise. You don't lose it. But if you put money into Google Ads or something like that and you stop, the lead's entirely cut off.
Right.
So, yes, the website is the center, though.
Yeah, Josh, I'd love for you to talk about, because some people, we get asked about SEO all the time, and they're like, okay, when you build our website, do you think about SEO? And of course, when you're developing a website, you incorporate SEO, but SEO it's a long game. It's like a, it's like a consistent long game. It's not just like a one time. And those who don't know what SEO is, sorry, we're talking too technical here. Thanks, David. But it's how you rank on Google. So when you Google your name or Google your company, how far up are you seen? And obviously,
and I'm not even trying to say that, and I'm not going against what you're saying, Josh and Sarah, but to me, just at least have your domain name and a landing page. And the reason I say landing page is I know the next step would be, content and all this stuff, but even if they have a place where it's their name, they can always refer people to it. They can point things back and forth, with their domain, settings. They can move it around, whatever, but they own that real estate. And that's the way I look at it. And then on that real estate, it could be very basic, and they can have a lead generation, contact us, or, you want to follow what I'm doing, sign up here, just as a basic. Then you can go into the next step.
Yep. And I definitely agree with that. Own your domain. Get a legit email address, not Gmail. Get a legit email address, which you can do once you have a domain, and a domain only costs about $10, $15 a year. So it's not like a super expensive thing. To answer Sarah's question about SEO, or ask me to address it, we actually just published the most massive comprehensive FAQ we've ever done. It's about 11,000 words. And I have links going up and down and all over the place, so it's still easy to navigate. If you want to know what SEO is, click the link I just shared. We just published it on Monday. But that will answer pretty much any question you have about SEO. And if there's a question it doesn't answer, let me know.
Okay, the next slide is create a plan. Sarah, you want to touch on create a plan? We don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, once you've thought about, again, what your goals are, who you're targeting, all of that stuff, create a plan. What social network am I going to be on? When can I build a website? I have a website. Okay, I want to drive, 20%. I want to increase my traffic by 20% month over month. Okay, well, how am I going to do that? You just need to put very tactical next steps items of how you're going to execute and commit to it. That is the most important.
The next slide, I'm just going to jump to this, is define the target. Josh, you want to touch on that? This is vital.
Yeah, that goes back to building our story brand and the things that we've talked about. What is your area? What is your market? Figure that out. And then as you do that, you will identify what your target is. Then just make sure that the marketing activities you do are in alignment with that target you're trying to reach. And we can spend time talking on it, but I think we've kind of hit on it a good bit.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, when you're like, okay, I'm going to post something, you got to think about, again, okay, I'm going to post something. It's not about you. It's about who you're targeting. So what do they want to hear?
Yep.
The next slide is tone and voice. Sarah, you suggested this. What do you want to touch on about tone and voice?
It's just important to, how are you to work with? This is how people get to know you. So, like, are you a robot? Do you like to golf? Do you like to, hike? Do Do you like to, I mean, it's just like, it's like, you know, when people approach you, are they like, hey, great to see you, and it's a warm, you know, environment, like that needs to translate through your tone and your voice. So again, so define that, like, okay, you know, I want to be personable, but I want to be authoritative at the same time. I want to be a thought leader. You know, like really think about who you are and what you want to sound like on social media. Because some people are like, you know what, I want to be funny, right? Well, that's great. And it's great to be funny. People really appreciate that, especially in this industry. But you also need to think about, okay, well, I need to position myself as a thought leader. So I probably need to have some sort of like authority when I talk, you know, and when I communicate. So
Yeah. The next slide is content and balance.
yes. Can I give my little example?
Yes. Give your
Okay.
example.
I'll do it quickly. So it's the 80-20 rule, and I love this example. It's called the late night rule. Think about like Justin Timberlake on Jimmy Fallon. He's only there to promote his new album, right? And so, but he goes on the show, and they play games on the show. They talk about his wife. They talk about his children, and they just laugh and goof off. And then at the end, Jimmy Fallon's like, "Oh, you have a new album," and Justin Timberlake's like, "Oh yeah, I do have a new album. I completely forgot." That's the only reason why he's there. And so that's how you should approach your content. You know, 80% of it should be educational, entertaining, beneficial to your audience of what they want, right? And that'll automatically position you as like approachable, likable, just like Justin Timberlake. And then you go in with your sales, you know, that 20%, okay? So
The next slide is visual. And I can touch on it real quick, and then Josh and Sarah, if you want to chime in, be consistent. That's all I'm going to say about visual. That's all I'm going to say. Josh, Sarah?
same.
Yeah, be consistent. And I just shared a link that talks about that as well. How to be consistent with your branding style guide.
All right. Next slide says how to succeed. Josh, you're going to take this one away.
The accountability piece that we talked about the other day.
Yes.
Yeah, so here's the thing. We've talked about a bunch of stuff. I mean, a bunch of stuff. The likelihood of you actually shaping your personal brand right now is at 10%, because you heard that idea. You're at 10% likelihood to actually shape it. Now, you can bump that up to 40% if you do one thing. That is decide when you're going to do it. You can bump it up to 50% if you also decide how you will do it. What is your plan? You can bump it up to 65% likelihood of you shaping your personal brand if you commit to someone else that you'll do it and how you'll do it. And one more, if you can bump it up to 95% success, chances of success, if you set an accountability appointment with that person with whom you committed to do it. So, do you want to be successful with your personal branding? Well, you have an idea as to how you can make that happen. Just plan it, do it, make an appointment, schedule, commit, and you can make that happen.
Next slide is ROI. We threw that in because this is the one that everybody challenges. I'm going to chime in and just say I can tell you that anybody I know who does a good job of personal branding will tell you they will not stop. They are successful financially. That's all I'm going to say. Sarah, Josh?
Deals are being made online 100% every day.
Yeah, 83,300 businesses close every year because of ineffective marketing. You don't want to be that statistic. Just do it. It works.
All right. Next slide is Q&A, if we have time.
Absolutely. So, you know, we'll stick around for anybody who wants to ask some questions. But while you're in, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask with your voice or put it in the chat. But while we're waiting for questions, let me just say very warm and sincere thanks to our guests today, to Linda and Sarah and Josh. You guys are not only great at what you do, you're great at communicating what you do, and I think you've gotten a lot of practice on the CRE marketing calls. So, working together as a team, and the mutual respect that you have for each other is very heartwarming to see. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. And Julia, thank you for organizing this and making sure everything got off the ground smoothly. You did a great job. So thank you to all you, and of course to all my fellow brokers out there. Thank you for participating with us today. I know that time is all that brokers have, so that the fact that you shared an hour of it with us is really wonderful. So thank you so much. And
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Linda, Sarah, and Josh, how do people get involved if they want to join the next CRE marketing call? What's the best way to do it?
They can go to meetup.com/CRE marketing, or they could shoot us an email if they have our email addresses, and they can look for hashtag CRE marketing probably almost everywhere and track us down. But we have a meetup page for people to register, and they can join a call similar to today through Meetup, and then we'll give you the connection information of how to join our call. Thank you.
I just put it in the chat, and also in the chat is all of our email addresses. I didn't add mine. Whoops.
Thank you, Julia.
Absolutely. I also want to give a shout out to Justine Snyder, who's on the call, because Justine has done a great job with her quantum listing profile in terms of adding content. And when you search her name on Google, the content pays forward nicely, and it just shows how important it is to, just like Josh was saying, to continue to add content to all of your profiles, to your broker list profile, to everything. So Thank you, Justine. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. I put up a slide, David, for you.
Oh,
Your last slide.
Excellent. All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us here at Quantum Listing, here is how you can do that. We have webinars almost every single Wednesday, and if you have a great idea for a webinar, please let us know, because we love getting input from people like you. And if you're not a member of Quantum Listing, please do join. You can see the replays of all of our past webinars, and we update our blog every week. It's also syndicated on the broker list. And if you write a blog, I encourage you to contact Linda to make sure that you get it syndicated on the broker list as well.
Yes.
Let's see, Julia, do we have, I'll tell you what, if you, to incentivize all of you to work on your personal brands, if you're a member of Quantum Listing, we do have a personal branding feature on our site, and we will put up a promo code, and we'll send it in the replay, so that if you want to develop your personal brand on Quantum Listing as well, we'll give you a nice hefty discount for that. So
awesome. Nice job.
Okay.
You can also email me if you're interested, and I'll help you out.
Yeah, Julia's the best.
She is the best.
The best.
Absolutely.
All right.
So no